Homestuck, baby. Have you ever...
I regret everything.
There's this show that I watched. I didn't watch all of it because, I'm a weirdo. But there's this show that I found because it has a really good ending song that's called Kill Me, Baby. And
all right.
Every episode, you've seen Full Metal Alchemist, right?
Yeah.
You know how Full Metal Alchemist has the voice that goes Full Metal Alchemist every episode, but it's like a different voice?
Yeah.
Kill Me Baby has the same thing, but they're saying Kill Me Baby, and I like that more. Because they just immediately get very funny with it. But just like, right. Kill me baby! And so that's when I said Homestuck, baby, that's the thing I was trying to channel there.
Alright then.
God, I have this... My setup right now is so bad. It's a chair on top of a bed with my laptop on it, and I'm trying to put my Diet Coke on it too. And it's just not working out, and every time I accidentally touch that chair even a little bit, the Diet Coke jiggles. But also, the only other place I could put the Diet Coke is on the bed, and that's a recipe for disaster. Or I guess I could put it on the shelf behind me, but I feel like then I'm going to keep turning around, which is going to be bad.
Dude.
It's a real shit show for me.
Dude, I'm like, literally... A, I'm in the corner of the room. B, I'm under a chair. C, there's a blanket over that chair and me. So, like...
It's hard out here for everybody, you know?
I'm just banking on no one walking in, man.
That would be the worst jump scare. Fuck, that would be so funny.
God.
It's Homestuck time, y'all. Today we covered episode... Today we did not cover episode. Today we covered pages... Gotta scroll up. We covered panels at the end of Act 1 through to the Rose Strife, and that is page 248 through 388.
God, I read that many pages. Why?
I know. Dude, this is a huge, amount of pages for this many panels. Especially because there's 2 games in there.
Yeah.
There's the Rose Strife and the, towards the beginning, there's the John thing. This was this is a lot, you know?
There's also, I'm pretty sure it also had, the Side Link, the Sleep Bro, and Hella Jeff, which, I'll be honest, I clicked through a couple of them and went, no.
I decided that we should cover Sleep Bro and Hella Jeff next episode. I didn't decide this, but I'm saying. We should cover Sleep Bro and Hella Jeff in the next episode because... The panel we're ending on, the panel of the map that we're ending on, actually has a picture of Sweet Bro in it. And I'm like, God. I guess that's the only place for it, really.
Ugh, why did... Okay.
I know. On-air discussion, and I guess put this in the comments, should we make Sweet Bro and Hella Jeff its own, mini episode, or should we just not cover Sweet Bro and Hella Jeff?
No, please. Anyone who's listening.
I'm gonna put a comment. I'm gonna put a comment in the comments, and everyone who gives it a yes or a no, that'll be how we vote. Everyone who responds to it with a yes or a no. That's how we're gonna do this. Do you want to make Quill suffer, or do you want to? Or
I'm glad you're being honest about this.
Oh, there's a dog in my room now.
Well. That's very cute, but I don't think that's great for recording.
You want to say hi? You could just... Hi, Mom.
Hi. The dog, Gerda, wants to be in the room with you. So she's scratching at the door, talking.
That's fine. She's a dog. She's allowed to do that. Let's actually get to the Homestuck for this episode.
Yeah.
Years in the future, but not many. And then that has its own link out, which is, I never knew that, because I've only I've only, done Homestuck once, and...
Really? I remember I found it, and I was, while I was in China, I was, reading through all the extra links and being like, what the fuck?
Yeah, this section is actually full of just, a bunch of extra links.
Yeah. Pain in the ass, what it is.
Pain in the ass, but also, kind of cool.
Yeah, both at the same time.
So here we see Wayward Vagabond. I'm just going to call them Wayward Vagabond or the Mayor. They're the mummy person who isn't named until much, much later. Yeah, so my first time reading through Homestuck I was listening to the Voxus Let's Read because I digest things by listening to them much better than I do reading. Never actually knew that those were link outs. I always just thought they were part of the comic, which is very interesting because the way they're formatted in the comic itself is super interesting. Like, they are link outs with just images. There's no words on their panels. And so the first link out, which is the first page of this one, shows Wayward Vagabond going, like, wandering through the desert, and then he finds a weird metal can with the spirograph symbol on it.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. And then we see the opening to the Rose walkthrough. I'm tempted to just read it. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna read it, and then I'll cut it if it feels unnecessary.
Yeah.
So I think the opening to it was
like,
very funny.
Yeah, because it's good writing. It's just kind of long, you know.
Yeah, I'll read it, and then I'll cut out parts that I think are boring.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the Spurb Beta walkthrough, version 1.0, April 13th, 2009, by Tentacle Therapist. And then the table of contents is just caveats and condolences, and then 2, walkthrough incomplete. So section 0 is caveats and condolences. I'd be inclined to dispense with the trite, even under less pressing circumstances. Needless to say, I'll forego the inscrutable ASCII banner, which typically heralds the striking freefall of these documents. I'll also resist the urge to brandish any copyright marks, or the particular neurosis that concerns itself with the theft of any of the utterly mundane. I'll allow other deranged prospectors to stake claims on their worthless plots as the woods burn down around them. My introduction will be sparse. There will be no majestic prose blustering into the sails of a galleon as we embark on the voyage together, nor will there be any ham-fisted prose whipping its limbs under a bedsheet like I don't want to say it now. Now it says the R word in the middle. Like a ghost. For that matter. I won't set the stage or dim the lights. The mood, you will see, will be set soon enough. Since you are reading this, chances are you have installed this game on your computer already. If this is true, like many others, you have just participated in bringing about the end of the world. But don't beat yourself up about it. There is never anything you could have done to prevent this. The end is happening right now, as I type, and as you read. I have come to understand that we were always doomed through our collective ignorance, and now further doomed by those few who know and struggle to flee. If you are lucky, you'll be among the smaller subset of the latter who are successful. What I mean is, while the game you installed is just one more grinding slab of the rock sealing our planet's crypt, it is also your only hope to live. I am presently faced with the same conundrum as you, and though I speak with more experience, my own outcome is far from assured. I will play the game, as much of it as there is to play, and record my findings here. If you want to live, you will do as I instruct. My condolences, Tentacle Therapist. Yeah, so that is the opening to the GameFAQs walkthrough, which I'm actually going to put a link to in the comments because there is a version of it on GameFAQs that I can't remember if it's fan-made or not. But that is something that I'll put in the comments because it's very fun to read. So that's the opening of Rose's walkthrough. Again, note to me and you, I'll either keep it in or cut it out. And then this set starts with just a banger where we get the Wayward Vagabond stuff, we see the Rose walkthrough, and then we get a walk-around game where we're exploring John's house. But that doesn't happen quite yet. First, the John. We see a picture of John's house just in the middle of kind of nowhere, on a big rock pillar. Yeah.
Yeah, I do like that transition of like everything going, all the windows going dark, and like the eyes under the bed and like out the door.
Oh
and all
yeah, that one's
you know?
really good.
Yeah.
And then he's just like, we see that John's house is just in the middle of nowhere, above clouds, and we can see like the inky blackness of space. Then we see the kernel sprite divide. I don't quite remember what this actually is. The black portion of the kernel sprite goes down.
Oh, yeah.
Under the clouds, and the white portion goes up and leaves a trail of spirograph patterns in its wake. And then it just turns into a ghost.
Yep.
And then it stops being a weird video game thing and starts being the most video game thing, where it's a ghost. And it's a ghost of the clown. It's weird. You gotta see it.
Yeah.
You know how to podcast. You just say it's weird. You have to have seen it.
Go look at it.
Just go look at it. You have Google. Go look at it. And then, once that happens, oh shit, I'm playing a little game. And you're walking around with WASD and clicking on shit. And when you do, you get, like, Wayward Vagabond's prompts, basically.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a little out of order here. We find this out within the set, but Wayward Vagabond is able to whisper things to John, basically, and like watch him in the same way Rose and we do, and sort of just like whisper suggestions into John's ear. Weird connection, huge spoilers, just like the most biggest spoilers for the epilogue. Weird connection. I wonder if that's the sort of thing that Dirk does once he gets his sort of narrative powers. I haven't finished I started reading more of it. I got to the part where it was hard to read because of all the orange, and then decided to put it down for the day.
Ah, yes. Mm-hmm.
But I wonder if that's the sort of power that Dirk is employing.
Huh, that's actually a pretty interesting thought.
Narrative control, yeah, because he's not dictating action, he is subtly suggesting. At least as far as I'm aware. We walk around John's house. Like, when you click on things, you get a prompt from Wayward Vagabond, and then a response from, like, a narrator. These are not John's thoughts, because the thoughts also directly address the fact that Wayward Vagabond does not know John's name. You can click on, like, a bunch of shit. You can explore John's entire house, which has, like, a really interesting, like, oh yeah, this is the layout of his house. This is what it's shaped like. And you get a really good layout of that.
Yeah, my computer, like, won't load the Flash thing because Chrome is stupid, and so it has, like, a really weird formatting, but, like...
Get Firefox,
I remember
bro.
being, like... Yeah, but I, like, remember being, like, super... It was, like, really genuinely cool to, like, have it be, like, interactive like that. For, like, the first time I went through it. Now it's just, like... God, this formatting is so stupid, but, like, there used to be something cool, you know? I used to feel emotions.
Well, it's there. You just have to have a different browser.
Yeah, I don't want to, like, open up Actually, maybe Firefox will work. I'll try that later.
Yeah, it does, because I'm on Firefox and it works. Also, Firefox is superior to Chrome in every way, hands down.
Okay, well, true, but, like, shush.
Yeah, I know. There's actually one way in which it is not, which is that you can't just directly print from a Google Doc, which I had many problems with throughout high school, of just, like, trying to print off of a Google Doc, and it just, like, no, you have to open it in Chrome, or you have to save it as a PDF. It's just like, I don't have the time to print a PDF, I'll just open it up in Chrome. Clicking on John is just some notes from, like, the overall game. Clicking on John is very funny. You had a fun little exchange where Wayward Vagabond is just, like, continually giving you commands until he hits the arrow button to go on to the next thing, but, like, then the narrator is like, whenever you're ready, hit the button at the bottom, which actually goes to the next thing. We see that Wayward Vagabond really hates clowns.
Which, I mean, considering the events of the story, fair.
So, another spoiler conversation. I think this podcast is going to eventually dissolve into the, like, it's just going to be spoiler. You should be ahead of us. You should always be ahead of us by a lot. We're reading very slowly. But that begs the question of, like, metaphysically, when something is prototyped, does it happen all of a sudden? Or is it, like, retroactive? Like, does Wayward Vagabond hate clowns because he's been fighting clowns and as a clown his whole life? Or does he hate clowns because the enemy force was wearing clown wear? Or that he had to wear clown wear to fight?
That's a question.
Yeah. It's weird. Or is it like third option that he always knew that eventually they would be wearing clown wear, but didn't know when that would start happening?
Why is this so complicated?
I know. Um, oh, and then I have a following note, which is, wait, I know the answer to that. The answer to that is the latter, which is that it happens all of a sudden because Jack. Because Jack. You get what I'm putting down?
I'm trying to remember the complicated Homestuck thing, basically.
The clown that Jack doesn't want to wear.
Yeah, I remember the hat and all that, but like...
Which is why I know it's all of a sudden, because otherwise Jack would have already been wearing clown wear.
Mm-hmm.
I guess.
Huh.
Yeah. Y'all, Homestuck is
guess.
confusing. We've gotten to the part where it's a little less stupid, but it's a lot more confusing.
Yeah.
The thing about Homestuck is just that there's like a billion moving parts at the same time, which creates this like really. I'm playing through Dark Souls right now, and it's sort of like the opposite, where Dark Souls is like all of the moving parts have already stopped moving. But Homestuck is like introducing a billion moving parts and it never lets them stop moving. You know, like everything is still happening at the same time. It's just about what's in focus. Whereas Dark Souls is like everything was happening, you have to find it. It's like a puzzle. Dark Souls, interesting. But I don't want to get into it. Because I've only played the first one and I haven't beaten it.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard.
Alright, well, I've heard.
Oh, yeah, that's the bit. It's fun, though. It's fun, but anyway. Dad's room is locked. I love Wayward Vagabond and how he only talks in caps. It's very, like, this motherfucker left the caps lock button on and forgot to unclick it.
Yeah,
it's very funny.
Definitely.
Rose, then, after the Flash game, Rose tells John that he was hit with the biggest in a very long line of meteors. And tragically, John thinks that the game is meant to save the world, which we know that Rose already knows that the game is meant to destroy the world because she wrote it in the walkthrough. But John still thinks that it's meant to save the world, and Rose does not dissuade him of this notion for a long time. I keep thinking June Egbert in my head and getting lost in the pronouns.
Yeah.
But I can't just keep saying them because there's only 2 characters at this point who are named and shit and have importance.
Yeah.
Anyhow, Rose is working on a present for John but could not finish it. We get a little note about how grist works, where once you put an item in the Silodex, or not in the Silodex, but in the
when you destroy it, it'll give it back.
Yeah. And then Rose just makes a gangplank, just like the worst and scariest object.
Oh, yeah.
And
it's
it's just this flat board that goes out into the nothingness that's now surrounding John's house.
Yeah.
And it's go out there and I'll be able to pick up the PDA for you. And John does not want to go down it for obvious reasons. But he slowly goes down it and grabs the PDA. I also love how Wayward Vagabond... So Wayward Vagabond is the one giving prompts at this point for a little bit. And it's very funny to me that when he's getting impatient, he does double arrows. He has a button on his... I hit the thing. He has a button on his console which he can see John through. That is the arrow button that we've been using to progress panels up to now, and it's just that just means that he's hitting it a bunch, which is very funny to me.
Yeah, I do appreciate that.
Also, I'm trusting you. Did you look at what the PDA said on it this time?
Oh yeah, it's hats removed from danger and are sort of my house got struck by a flaming projectile. I made sure all my clothes are all right, kind of stuff.
God, I love this dad humor.
Yep.
It's a fun glimpse into what the rest of the world is feeling.
Yeah.
Because, like, for as broad as Homestuck is, it's a very insular story focused on, like, 10 people. Rose is psychoanalyzing again, and is like, Rose is talking to John and is like, oh, you must be dealing with post-traumatic stress because you're hearing a voice in your head. And this time I read it as a much more sympathetic voice, which is just, it's a weird thing where I, like, it clicked in my head where I had this sudden, like, realization of, like, oh, I wonder if this is just the way that Rose is, and is, like, the only way that she can think to offer sympathy is to offer an explanation. That's just a thought.
Yeah.
Again, years in the future, but not many. We see the page that lets us know that Wayward Vagabond goes down into the big metal thing and finds the device that lets him see John. It's the Spurb logo, right?
I think so, yeah.
It's like the Spurb logo, and one of the squares is a TV. Each of the squares is a TV, and one of them lets him see John. And we also see here that the little mummy man forgot to turn off caps lock. I'm going to link the walkthrough in the description because there's some interesting stuff in there. But I do, it's long. It's long, and a lot of it is not relevant to characterization. It's like metaphysics and like world stuff.
Yeah.
Rose has a battery issue. She has a outside generator just in case by the mausoleum for her dead cat. And this is Chekhov's battery.
Yep.
Where we know that we know it's going to run out. We also know that she's going to need the generator. It's a double edge. It's a Chekhov's charger. There you go. Some bullshit happens where Rose tries to prototype some more. We see that the sprite is actively resisting, like the ghost version of the sprite is actively resisting being prototyped by stuff. And then a very funny thing to me happens where Rose tries to prototype it again with Colonel Sassacres. And says that I would have loved to see the Colonel sprite spelled like
oh my god.
Collonel.
No.
And that's
bad,
just, it's so good. Quill,
No,
it's the Colonel
That's
sprite.
bad.
It's the Colonel sprite, Quill.
Oh my
Quill.
god.
Also, Colonel, Kolonel, is the worst word. That's not what that word is. There are worse words. That's a big offender.
For like a long time, I did think it was Colonel.
Me too. That word is colonel.
Yep.
But we can't say Colonel Sassacre. That just sounds silly, I guess. And then Rose drops the book, and the ashes fall down, and they fall into the sprite. And we get Nana Sprite.
Indeed. Which is like... Nana Sprite is great, but also the idea of like the ashes of your grandmother falling into the game construct is kind of horrifying.
It's not settling. It's unsettling, some would say. Of this like, oh, this used to be a person, and their ashes let them turn into a this. Like, is this... okay. We're not going to get into the horror of getting stuck post-mortem in a game construct.
Oh god.
A funny thing happens here. I'm going to link this page in the description where John goes back to the balcony and just looks like a weirdly compressed, like, image in, like, a fairly crisp background. Here, I'll send you this link.
Thanks.
No problem. Where John is just, like, weirdly compressed.
Oh yeah. I didn't notice that the first time.
Yeah, me either. And then I was just, like, looking at it to be like, there's nothing in this page of note, is there? And then I realized, like, John is just sort of, like, they squished him down and made him big again, and squished him down and made him big again, but, like, not enough to make him, like, JPEG artifacty, but just enough to be like, oh yeah, he's noticeably more compressed than everything else in the image, which is rather sharp.
Huh, yeah. That's a thing, I guess.
Yep. And then, in an effort to bring the package to John, which is in the car, Rose tries to lift the car up to John on the shitty balcony thing, on the shitty, like, gangplank that she made. And then in the middle of it, Rose disconnects and the car falls into the abyss. Which is one of those where it's just like, what did you think was going to happen?
Yep.
Like, there's two possibilities. There's the one where it works, which I don't think is likely. There's one where John fucks up the jump to get onto it and dies. Yep. There's another one where John gets it, but then in moving it back falls off. Mm-hmm. And then there's the one where the point at which she's holding it isn't holding that state of the car. It's just holding it at that point. And John getting on it will make it tip over and he'll fall to his death. 4 sort of options here.
Yeah.
And then John talks to Jade after noticing that Rose has, in fact, lost connection. And Jade is just incredibly nonchalant about John dropping this car. Or about Rose dropping a car. Like, doesn't ask a question about it until John just, like, explains the whole situation. Mm-hmm. And then I think that Dave says something racist, but it's so convoluted that I can't understand what he said.
Yeah, that's a surprisingly good summary, actually.
Yeah. Give me a sec to see if I can find the wording.
Yeah, I remember reading through it being like,
Yeah, something about, like, a black president, but, like, Like, I'm sure, like, through, because you have to read it through, like, a layer of sarcasm, but then, like,
yeah,
it's intentionally confusing, but here it is intentionally confusing to potentially obfuscate racism rather than just being confusing, which is concerning.
Yeah. Homestuck.
Oh, Homestuck. Oh, early Homestuck.
Yep.
Then John gets Dave to maybe play Spurb. We come back to Rose. There's a lot of cutting from here on in, like, between the characters. And I actually really, at first I thought it would be confusing, but I really liked it. It sort of gave Homestuck, like, a very quick, it gave it a much quicker pace to read. Of just, like, things are always happening. We're not as caught up in the minutia of going from one room to another, because in 10 seconds we're going to be with another person.
Yeah, I think, like, Homestuck is one of the few that, like, does the cutting around thing well, because, like, a lot of other shows, like, if they try to handle a bunch of plot lines, instead they'll, like, none of the plot lines progress, because, like, at the pivotal moment of H, it'll just cut away to someone else. Yeah, it has a very, like, tabletop games will do this sort of thing, or at least I do. I try to in tabletop games. Mm-hmm. I think that tabletop games, it has that sort of flow to it where it's just like, it's not cutting away at a pivotal moment. It's cutting away at a moment where, like, the player has a chance to think on the next action, basically. Mm-hmm. And so that the other players don't feel bored does that make sense? That's what it felt like to me. We're tabletop nerds, by the way.
I'm a tabletop nerd. I drag you into everything.
Yeah, that's true.
I guess by extension, at this point, you're a tabletop nerd with me.
Yeah. Dude, I met even more tabletop nerds in college. It's great. Dude, I found someone who's, like, a DM who's running a Monster of the Week campaign, so that was fun.
It's so weird. Dude, have you been keeping up with Taz?
Not Amnesty.
Me either. I sort of felt like, I don't know. I feel like the McElroys are doing all right at it, but they're not doing as good a job as Friends at the Table. By the way, plug for Friends at the Table. Friends at the Table is the dopest. If you want to hop on board, you could listen to all of Hyron, because it's over now. Mm-hmm. I recommend starting with either Marielda or Fall of Magic.
All right.
That's the pitch. That's all.
We turn into a Friends at the Table podcast.
Quill, don't get me started on the fun idea that a Friends at the Table fan cast would be. It wouldn't be, because it would be boring, because it would be a podcast about a podcast, which is too many layers. But also, give me a sec to Another thing that happened, I don't know if you saw it, they announced they finished up Balance. They wrapped up Balance.
Uh-huh.
And they announced what the next thing is going to be. Do you know what this is? Or do you want me to?
I think I've heard snippets of it, but I haven't looked into it yet.
They're going to do D&D again. Which is like... But Travis is DMing it.
I can hear you dying.
Yeah.
I can sense it across the waves or whatever.
I hate D&D a lot.
Dude, I said that and like all the tabletop people I met were like, gave me a look.
That you hated it or that I hated it?
That you hated it.
I
haven't played D&D because you hate it.
It's a bad game. It's objectively.
I can't hate it because...
It's not objectively, but it's like, no, I'm gonna go out on this limb. I'm gonna die on this cross, which is that D&D is just an objectively inferior game to a game like Dungeon World, or if you want to do something that's like a dungeon crawly, like goof off fun time, there are other games for it. Like Dungeon Crawl Classics that was a game we initially played that's like a very stripped down, like 3rd edition. Like there are other editions of D&D even that are like better for that. I'm not gonna shit on 4th edition. That's a different fucking game. That's just a different game, you know? Mm-hmm. But like 5th edition and 3rd edition are just like trying to get at this specific kind of play while using the D20 in such a specific way that it's just like it's not a good game.
I would like to remind you that we are a Homestuck podcast at the end of the day.
That means that I get to shit on D&D, because now more people are going to be listening to it. Homestuck 2 dropped today. We're going to talk about it at the end.
Oh my god.
But, like, people are going to start listening to our show. We're a Homestuck.
Oh,
We're a
no.
concurrently running Homestuck show. People are going to be like, what did happen in Act 1? What did happen in Act 1? That's us. That's my market. Hi there. Shout out to our 10 original fans. the true homies. All right, back to Homestuck. We cut back to Rose, and Rose has a laptop cozy, which is such a nerdy thing. She like knit her own laptop cozy. She would.
If I ever get my crochet stuff back together, I might do it too.
What would be the point in it, though?
Nothing.
Fair, you know? I hadn't thought about it. I guess it's like, you know... No, I was about to say, I guess it's like holding a bag with all of your stuff in it, but it doesn't hold more than one thing. It's a bag that holds a thing, and it's your laptop. And it's not a bag. It's just a cozy.
Yep. Honestly, like, I should probably get into knitting versus crocheting, because, like, crocheting is, like, faster, but, like, you don't get the aesthetics of being able to stab someone to death with their needles, you know?
Mm-hmm. I also understand that you can make more stuff with knitting, right? That's, like, the difference.
I'm not sure. I think, like, crochet and knitting are, like, relatively similar in what you can make, but, like, I hear there's some big discourse with socks and whatnot. It's weird.
Interesting. My grandma knits me some socks sometimes. They're very cute. They're very cute, but sometimes they're a little small. Which is like, I love them. But I've got fucking gigantic feet, Grandma. Mm-hmm. Rose goes to allocate her grimoire to her stripe specibus, but the grimoire should not be allocated. End of sentence.
Oh yeah, that.
Mm-hmm. But then, instead, she allocates her knitting needles, which, you know, that's cool. I like that. She gets to stab people with some needles. Mm-hmm. She looks in her grimoire of whatever, blah, 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 blah. Not as memorable or as far-reaching as Colonel Sassacre's, so I don't have their name memorized.
Yeah.
We get to see some of them. Flathulu is in there, and I think Flathulu is from or not Pester Quest, Problem Sleuth?
Is it? Oh, huh.
I think so.
Let me...
I think the demons around it, at least, are from...
Foul Patrician of Misery.
Yeah. And then
I do love all the, like, horror terrors, though.
Yeah, they have some real fucking troll names, is what they've got.
Yeah.
Which is very funny to me. Mm-hmm. And then we also get to see the window, which is... like, very, like, oh, wow, that was foreshadowed really, really early.
Mm-hmm.
You know what window I'm talking about, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. I saw that. I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
That window.
That's the
That window.
To people who
It's
are
a
like
window.
listening concurrently with reading are going to be like, what the fuck are you talking about? But yeah, that's the window.
Yeah.
I even have it capitalized. It's the window, capital W.
Indeed.
Proper noun. Rose then goes outside, and we see this really cool animation of her and us both seeing the extent of the meteors for the first time. There's a shot of, like, the clouds pulling back, and we just see this, like, infinite rain of meteors.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I have a note here, which is that, like, Rose is strangely more connected to the audience than John.
I assume it's like a seer thing.
Yeah, I think we actually had a comment about that on this one that was like, oh, I attribute a lot of her... So, I'll just pull up that comment. Riff for a second while I pull it up.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, by the way, like... Oh, dude, this is the page! Hold up, I didn't realize.
What?
Alright, so you know how this page is... This is the one where it's like, they have that quote from, like, the weird poem, like, April is the cruelest month, breeding lilacs out of dead land and whatnot?
Mm-hmm.
I was taking a poetry test in, like, AP English or some bullshit, and I was like, and we're like analyzing poem and like fragments and stanzas and shit, and I fucking see that, and I like, my soul left my body because I went, hold up, that's not just a that's a poem, and I had to like analyze that stanza for like whether or not it had like metaphors or something, and I was like, what the fuck?
That's the worst.
It was. I was just staring at my test, and like everyone around me was just taking this test like normal, like indifferent to my plight.
And it truly is your plight. There's no other words that could be used to describe seeing Homestuck outside of the context of Homestuck.
It was just, oh my god.
So this note comes to us from Kat, the commenter from the last video, who is now our number one being read out loud in the episode commenter. So thank you,
Congratulations, Kat.
Congratulations. Kat says, in my opinion, it's a seer of light stuff showing up way, way early. She literally sees the reader and their actions, or the prompts, and thusly is enlightened, insert wiggling eyebrows here, but refuses to encourage the shenanigans. Which makes sense. I could totally see that. I think that it's, I have a point a little bit later that we'll get to where it's like, oh, everyone is like very obviously playing into their aspects from the start. Mm-hmm. Which is funny because like there's a portion of that where it's like how much of that is us putting conjecture into Homestuck and how much of that is Homestuck deliberately telegraphing what these things mean to us.
Yeah.
Yeah, aspects are fun to me because there's that very thin line of like, well, a lot of it is conjecture, but it's very well telegraphed conjecture. You know? So anyway, shout-outs to Kat.
Yeah.
I have the quote here, so... Did you read it? I think you read it.
I didn't read... Do you want me to read the whole thing? Or?
Yeah, read the quote. It's not super long.
Alright. You wonder if this rain will ever let up. It's driven since the month began, perhaps long enough to forget its purpose. It no longer even knows to assuage fire. Somewhere a zealous god threads these strings between the clouds and the earth, preparing for a symphony it fears impossible to play. And so it threads on and on, delaying the rays of the conductor's baton. How you hate this season. April is the cruelest month, breeding lilacs out of the dead land, mixing memory and desire, stirring dull roots with spring rain. American sports legend, Charles Barkley.
Which is, I don't know what I like more, that Rose just knows obscure poetry, or that Rose explicitly knows obscure poetry from American sports legend Charles Barkley.
I'm fairly certain that this was written by, like, a William something dude, but...
I'm gonna, hold on. Is Charles
Hold on, I've gotta Google this now.
Poet.
I'm pretty sure Homestuck just, like, attributes, like, stuff to random people.
Charles Barkley is a poet, according to Taco Bell, is the top result. So I do not think that he is a poet.
Oh, it's T.S. Eliot.
Oh, that quote was C.S. Eliot. So
I have no idea who the fuck that is, but hey.
They're a poet. They wrote, like, Winter or whatever. I had to read that in high school.
Same, probably, honestly.
There's a very funny thing here. Is that Rose misattributing that quote to Charles Barkley? Or is that the narrator, Hussey, attributing that to Charles Barkley?
I'm going to assume it's Hussey, but I think it's funnier if it's Rose.
I think it's very funny, the idea that Rose just, like, doesn't know if Charles Barkley said something, or if, what was his name? Some dead poet said something. And then my note here is that it is Dave o'clock, bro.
Oh, indeed.
He's busy being totally fucking sweet.
I just have, in all caps, aw, dude, it's Dave. What a cool dude. So
Dave looks alright. I got some gripes about early Dave. But
okay.
Dave just looks so fucking cool. I want you to say the word Dave Strider and imagine anyone but the coolest motherfucker in the world. Right? Right, though? Please acknowledge that I am correct. Please clap. Thank you. So my note about Dave is just like, I know that I like Dave because I know that when I read the epilogues, I have sympathy for Dave. But I don't like Dave yet. Like, everything that has happened with Dave so far in our rereading is just, like, rubbing me the wrong way. Of just, like, oh, like, shitty misogynism. Like, thinly veiled racism, you know. The R word, which Rose also uses, but, like, Dave used twice, you know? Like, that sort of thing.
I think that's, like, less a symptom of Dave, the character, more a symptom of, like, early Homestuck writing,
exactly,
though.
But, like, that really comes to a point with Dave, which is what...
That's true.
Which is why I know I like Dave, because I think Dave is very well written more later, and I think that Dave is a very interesting arc, like, even in early Homestuck, Dave is an interesting arc.
This is gonna sound a bit callous, but I do like Dave, like, as a plot device of, like, dealing with timelines and shit.
Yeah, it's cool, and it's, like, interesting, you know? But we haven't gotten there yet, and for now, Dave is a shitty 13-year-old.
As we all were once, though, so...
No, I was a pretty fucking cool 13-year-old.
Really? Alright, I'm jealous.
Nah. Couldn't have been that cool. Wasn't gay yet. Rip. He would have been named Insufferable Prick, but sadly, he cuts it in half with a katana.
Now, I feel like Insufferable Prick is, like, the most accurate out of all of these, you know?
Oh yeah, 100%. It's just like, yeah, Dave sure is an insufferable... Because Zeus Malpooplor doesn't mean anything. Rose as a flighty broad means something, especially in the context of, spoilers, of Kanaya calling Rose a flighty broad. And Karkat calling Dave an insufferable prick is also very good. I think it was Karkat, at least.
Yeah, well,
might have been Terezi.
Someone probably does it.
Yeah, he's very cool with his unbelievably ill jams and his turntables and mixing gear.
Is it ill jams or sick jams?
No, I copied this word for word. It's ill jams.
Oh, all right then.
He loves bands no one has ever heard of but you, and weird dead things preserved in various ways, which is creepy as fuck.
Well, don't call me out like this.
Wilbert, stop hoarding dead things. Don't do that.
I don't hoard dead things. I wish I did, but I don't.
That's fine. We all wish we were like a cool gothic lord or lordess. I think, what's the gender neutral for lord? Is it just lord?
Lord X? The usual. I've seen some people do locks, which is like fun but not used
But
anywhere.
no one ever said locks, you know?
Yeah.
It's one of the...
It does sound very cool,
I
though.
think Lord is gender neutral, actually. It might not be, but I've heard it be used as a gender neutral term.
Fair
to
enough.
address both men and ladies, and therefore everyone in between. Gender's stupid. Gender and pronouns are stupid.
Indeed.
We all wish we were Gothic lords is the end of that sentence. He also likes photography and funny blogs, which is just like the worst shit, the worst shit, the worst shit. Oh, and he likes to take pictures and run funny blogs. Okay. We get the very funny one that every character gets, where it's just like do some random shit, and his is bleat like a goat and shit on the turntables.
I do have to correct you. It's piss on the turntables.
You're absolutely right. I am so sorry, Quill. I will. You couldn't have been more correct. I will go sit in the shame hole for several hours. No.
As you should.
I should. I generally, that's where I belong. And I don't know if you like saw it, but there's the picture of the piss on the turntables thing is an incredibly slow GIF of him turning to look at the turntables, which is very funny.
I do like his immediate response of like never allowing any fluid to like touch turntables is like, as a person who's like been in rooms with turntables, like, yeah, you're not even allowed to like open a water bottle in there.
Yeah, dude. My dad used to have turntables, and like he wouldn't keep them in the greatest repair. And then one time our DJ friend came over. My dad is heavily ingratiated in like the reggae scene and actually knows like a bunch of DJs, which was a cool way to grow up, but also uncool in other ways.
Yeah, I would imagine.
Yeah. And one time our DJ friend Dan came over and he got so mad at my dad, be like, "What the fuck are you doing? These are such nice turntables. How could you do this?" He had just like stuff on them, and Dan was like, "What the fuck?" So I could totally see that. He then moves to check in his closet and finds a box that used to have his cool glasses. And then the irony here is so strong. And like, as much as I'd love to just have the layers of irony deconstructed to like there's a, do you know about Castlevania 2 Simon's Quest?
No.
Okay. So I was about to make the deepest pull, but I guess I'll just explain it. It was this like unbelievably shitty game that was just like an adventure RPG where everyone in the game spoke like the most cryptic bullshit in the world. And was just like... And half of the things that people in the world said were outright lies. And you had to like explore for hours, and there was just like, it was infinite bullshit. And then someone made a mod of it that was just like, we made a version of it without any of the bullshit in it. And as much as I'd like a version of that for everything Dave ever says, I feel like it would take a lot of the charm away from the infinite bullshit.
Yeah, that is true.
Also,
I do love that, like, no matter how much irony Dave, like, piles and wraps those glasses in, like, at the end of the day, the ultimate irony is that he just, like, likes the glasses unironically, you know?
Very good.
Yeah.
We see what his Silodex is, and it's so stupid I didn't even read the description.
It's so... Like, I was reading through it, I'm like, no, I don't actually. No. Also, like, as a person who's taking linguistics, this is now, like, even more painful.
Yeah, it's like a rhyme thing? I don't know. I don't fucking...
It's like, it bases, like, each consonant of, like, the name of, like, the
this
item
is too much.
At, like, 2, and each vowel at 1, and then it does, like, math and shit, and then, like, yeah.
When you said it bases the consonants, I was like, this is too much. Whatever, he has a Silodex. He, like, launches shit out of it, I guess.
Yeah. I do. It is cool that, like, he can, like, say something and that'll launch a thing, which is, like,
that's very cool.
The worst, but very cool. Like, you're just going to talk and accidentally, like,
well, it's, like,
behead your friend, but
right?
you know.
Like, the thing is that he has to be, like, intending for the thing to come out.
No, like, remember, like, the bird?
Oh, yeah, but didn't he, like, mean to pull out the sword, but he instead shot out the sword?
I don't remember that part, but...
you might be right.
Well,
You're
we'll
probably right. You understand how his thing works vaguely. I don't.
No. I wish I did.
We get to Dave's computer where he has a very cool background. It looks like some, like, Jet Set Radio shit. That's like it looks like a Jet Set Radio loading screen. And it actually...
Oh, it really does.
Which is just... that's the aesthetic.
Mm-hmm. I also do like he has one file that's just like it's labeled complete bullshit and it just has those little arms and the eyes and like that's a mood.
Yep. I have all of his folders listed out. He has a folder of dope rhymes and another one of ill beats, which is very good. And then he has another folder, like you said, called complete bullshit. We get a rehash of the juice conversation, which reveals something very interesting, which is that so far, what we've seen of Dave has actually been in the past, which is where my thing comes in. All of them are just doing their aspects. Like, Dave is already fucking with time bullshit. Everything Dave is doing is like 10 minutes in the past, right?
Yeah.
Rose is already understanding things that she has no way to possibly understand, but she does anyway. And John is forging ahead already, even though there is nothing like under his feet half the time.
Yeah. Quite literally in some cases with game planks.
Quite literally. And so it's just like this very clear telegraphing of what we understand the aspects to be. It's just very interesting. I'm a big fan. He checks out his Game Bro, online Game Bro, which has there's a link out here, which is just a very high resolution JPEG. It's a very...
It didn't need to be. It really didn't.
Did I ever tell you the story of the one good JPEG? That was... I did or no?
No, as in like, that was like a go-on,
I couldn't tell if that was either the go-ahead, or the I've heard it 1,000 times, Jenna, because I know I've told the story eventually. There was, my mother went to, like, a business conference thing, and she knew that they were doing, like, professional photos. You know how you have, like, your, like, professional photo that you, like, make your image because that's what professionalism is in modern America, and it's weird. But she knew they were doing that,
bizarre.
And that this would be her opportunity to get one. And so she, like, dressed nicely, like, it was like, all right, it's a picture day, basically, at this, like, conference. And she waited in line, and they, like, took a bunch of pictures of her, and then, like, gave her a USB stick, and was like, your picture's gonna be on this. And she was like, all right, I don't have anything to open this. I'll have to give it to my daughter because she has a computer. The daughter was me. And so when she got home, she handed me this USB stick. And it was like, hey, could you send me this picture in, like, an email? And I was like, Mom, I think it's broken. All that's on here is one picture. It's a very, very, very high resolution picture, but there's just the one. It's like 1/100th of this USB is this picture. And it was just like, this is eco waste. This is how we get here. This is tech waste. Is that we start giving one very good picture on a whole ass thumbstick. And that's what happened here.
Was it like,
Hussy?
Was it a good picture though?
It's a pretty good picture.
Okay.
But it was just the one. And so...
I mean, I'll never say no to a free flash drive, but like...
I guess! But like... if I recall, it wasn't even a very big flash drive. It was just that there was only one picture on it.
All right.
Yeah, it's just, I don't understand how we got here.
Yeah.
And so that's what happened here. Hussey gave us the one very good picture of a Game Bro cover. And that was it.
Yep. I guess.
We find out that Dave also writes ironic reviews of the Game Bro reviews, which is very silly. We also get a glimpse at Sweet Bro and Hell Jeff, but we're not going to talk about that yet, just in case.
Thank God.
We don't know what that poll is going to be.
Oh, God.
Even if you've been listening and you haven't been commenting, please go down into the comments and please let us know if you want us to cover Sweet Bro and Hell Jeff. We will.
And the answer is
promise
no.
We will.
No. No. Please save me from this torment.
Or don't. If there's one thing I've learned from improv, it is to bother the want. And that's what we're doing here on this show, folks.
Oh, God.
I love the jab at Homestuck and Pester Quest with where Dave checks on the Midnight Crew.
The Midnight Crew.
And like skips 100 pages in and it's just gone to complete shit. And it's just like, yeah, that's what it is. It's also another instance of Dave's time stuff where he's able to he makes note of a bunch of specific things where he's like, oh yeah, it probably went to shit when there's a bunch of cards on the ground and someone instigated like a bad game of 52 card pickup. And it's just like, I bet the reason why Dave even does this is because he just has this like innate ability to piece together a bunch of this sort of like previously on
bullshit
stuff.
Timeline.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, by the way, there's an arm in this one.
There's an arm in this one?
Yeah, remember John's arm?
I need a link.
Okay, here. I didn't notice until I was looking at it right now.
Boop.
Look, right above the heart door.
Heart. Will you be keeping an eye out for these?
Yeah. I haven't actually, but like I just saw it.
Yeah. That's fair.
They're like, it's weird how easy it is to miss a whole ass arm.
Oh my god, there totally just is an arm in the middle of this picture. Not in the middle, but like, wow.
It's like nothing hiding it. It's just there. You just don't notice it because it's Homestuck's kind of like visually noisy, you know?
Well, this page specifically is visually noisy. There's a bunch of shit going on. And because of the text, your eyes are immediately drawn to the floor with the game of 52 card pickup. But actually what's happening here is that there is an arm above the door. That's weird.
Gee, I wonder what that is.
Huh. I'm surprised that it's in there. Because my understanding was that they weren't in there until, like, you read the specific page that had them, and then it would activate a cookie.
No, see, here's the thing. Like, I read Homestuck, like, after that page had, like, happened, but, like... And so I was, like, reading Homestuck, and, like, I remember I was, like, starting to see shit like that, where, like, there were arms all over the place, like, sometimes. And it was just weird shit. I thought it was, like... Oh, Homestuck's fucking weird and a mess. I guess it just does that.
No,
and then, like, I got to the page, I'm like, wait, that was on purpose?
Yeah, it's wild. Because the thing that is extra wild about that is that they weren't there, which is a weird instance of things not being there initially. Like, usually, the time loops in Homestuck are built in such a way that you see them beforehand. Like, you understand the time loop before the time loop has happened. Or that you could go back and find evidence of it. But because of the way that those specific powers work, we actually don't see the evidence of that until it happens, like, in our timeline. We don't see the arms until that update comes and all of the arms are added. It's interesting.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember seeing an arm, like, before I got to that page and being just so confused, but, like, also remarkably, like, willing to just accept that as a weird Homestuck thing.
Yeah, that's just the way it is, you know?
Yeah, it's like, I guess this is what Homestuck is like? I love the, like, Even though the adventure began recently, it's already over 3,000 pages long. You just don't have time for this
It's so
bullshit.
good.
Yeah.
Fucking also, I do love when Rose called Dave gay in just a weird, backhanded, and insulting way. That happens shortly after. It's just like, cool, good job.
Yeah,
love
we
it.
love that.
And it wasn't...
Accurate representation of, like, shitty online 13-year-olds, but, like...
But also, it's another one of those, I'll stand by the thing that I said in an earlier episode, where it's just like, it doesn't characterize these people, it characterizes the time, but also the refusal to go back and change it, even at the point where there's already a Homestuck 2, is sort of telling on the part of Hussey. That there is a unwillingness to go change it. I don't think that it...
On one hand, like... I'm like... I think the ideal would be either, like, acknowledge that it's kind of shitty, or, like... Or, like, just acknowledge it in some way, because that would be, like, okay, like, we acknowledge this thing was kind of shitty, you know? Instead of just kind of letting it sit there. Like, even if they didn't change it, just like, you know, yeah.
Yes, an acknowledgement, like, at the bottom of every page where it says the R word, or is homophobic or racist, of just like, hey, we understand that this is shitty. We're sorry. It was a different time.
Yeah.
Even though it was less than 10 years ago. Or, it was more than 10 years ago at this point.
Well, it was a different time, metaphorically speaking, I guess.
It was about 10 years ago. I think this year was the 10-year anniversary.
Fuck, why is... Oh, Jesus, don't tell me that.
I mean, we didn't start reading until it was a couple years in, you know? I wasn't reading Homestuck at 9 years old. What are you talking about?
But the fact that Homestuck is, like, old makes me uncomfortable.
It's not old. It's also long. Like, of course it's fairly old. It's long as shit.
I'm not a time player. Anyways.
We get this really fun Rose and Dave conversation, and like, aside from the vague homophobia at the beginning, like, Rose and Dave just have very fun, like, entirely banter-based conversations that's just, like, as someone who does a fair bit of writing, just like, I love that this is someone just flexing their banter muscles. This is Hussey just being like, I know how to write banter, here's what it is. And it's fun to write. Anyway. We cut back to John. There's a bunch of black gunk on the floor. Spooky. Yep. And then we cut back to Dave immediately, and Rose's jam was the violin. John's jam was the computer. Dave's jam is a whole fucking mixer. Just like full function.
Dude, like, again, this won't work on my fucking Chrome, but like, I remember, like, I spent like that summer just like fucking around on this for like so long, man.
I'm definitely gonna play some of the samples under what we're talking about, because it's just so good.
John, do the windy thing! John, do the windy thing! John, do the windy thing! Do the windy thing! John, do the windy thing! John, do the windy thing! John, do the windy thing! Do the windy thing!
It's not even, like, I can't objectively judge the quality of the music, because the context in which it is presented is so fucking cool. Again, it works on, note for the audience as well, all of that stuff still works on Firefox. Even if Chrome has stopped supporting it. You might also just need a version of Adobe, or not of Adobe Acrobat, of Flash Player.
Yeah, I think the thing is, like Chrome's trying to phase out Flash entirely.
Which is some bullshit.
I think like Firefox, you're just gonna have to Firefox it. Yeah.
Or I guess Internet Explorer, but that just feels like a waste.
No.
Yeah.
Fuck, maybe Safari? I don't know if Safari will.
Probably. I don't know enough about Apple.
Yeah.
The only Apple product I have is my phone, and the only reason why I haven't switched it is because, like, very specific. I like the podcast app on Apple more than I like most other podcast apps. And so, like, that's just what I live with.
Speaking of apples.
Speaking of apples. Quill, that was a segue. Oh my god. That's the first segue of the show. Everybody, we've done it. Speaking of apples.
I hate myself.
Speaking of apples, Dave cannot bring himself to drink the apple juice because he thinks of the piss, the Howie Mandel monster piss, and then spills it on the copy of the beta. I don't know why this happens in this order. He already has sword kind, is my next note. He goes to, like, set his specify to sword. He already has sword kind. My next note is, wow, all of these fucking puppets.
Oh, yeah.
Quill, side note, I just realized it happened earlier. I just realized you haven't read something out loud yet. You know what I'm talking about.
Oh, no.
Everybody, this is Quill. We didn't introduce ourselves at the top of the show either. Shit. This is what I get for recording late at night.
Yeah. This is what I get for recording after already doing a radio show.
Introductions. I am Jenna Lacombe, and this is
Quill
Song,
Hi.
who is about to read a very good rap. Go ahead.
This is gonna take, like, multiple takes, man. I don't
That's
rap.
okay.
I don't do wordplay.
I'm a good editor. We'll get through it.
Oh my god. I'm embarrassing myself on the internet for
I've
you,
opened
Jenna.
the door. I've opened the door and maybe put my foot out just a little bit, like I might trip you, but that might just be the way I stand. Who knows? But the door is open. What will you do? I'm looking at the rap right now, and I'm rating Quill.
Oh my god. You know when, like, there's, like, a little voice in the back of your head that just goes, like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
Yeah, like, that little voice is like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah. What you're about to be doing is reading a very good rap.
Oh my god. I hate everything.
I'm patient.
Someday in the future, this stupid rap is going to come back and bite me in the ass.
You're going to be, like, applying for a job or running for a political office, and then someone is just going to be like, Sang, is it true that you read the really shitty Dave rap from HOMESTUCK on air? And now you have to read it. I've made such a good joke. You have to read it so that way that can happen one day.
Oh my god. This is... Fuck you.
Door's open.
Alright, Ugh.
Do you need a beat?
I'm
Do you need like a...
Jenna, I'm gonna punch you in the face the next time we meet, which will be very difficult because you're so much taller than I am.
I'll be like, how could you punch me in the face? Your hand barely comes up to my neck.
Alright.
Do you want to count in? Okay.
No. Alright. I feel like I need to, like, turn off my brain and, like, all sense of dignity before I do
you want to do it
this.
at the end of the show instead? Do you want to do it at the end of the episode? And that'll be our closer?
No.
Right.
Let's just get this over
Maybe I'll
with.
drop this into the... Who knows? We'll see.
Is wait part of the rap?
Yeah, it would
or
be like, wait, Armageddon. I'm not going to do it because it's for you. But it's like, that's part of it. Yeah.
Right.
I did a good job
guess.
copying it, Quill. Come on.
Wait, Armageddon's getting waged on us, but I'm getting armed and dangerous, sending men in space for saving us. See which play is more courageous, Ben or Bruce. Dudes reach a truce, put their blowchutes to use and upsuck it. Affleck sacrifice, I mean sacrifice, would have to suffice, off fluck it. Bro be a stained glass saint up on a cross, getting hella Christ plagiarist. Bruce like, off that crucifix, enough of this fucking savior fuzz. Strained his ass per McLean Redux while Buscemi remained dangerous. When the plan gone astray pays off a wasted craterus, ashtray cater into layers of Matt, but McConaughey's vague remainder dust. Wait, McConaughey wasn't even in any of those Meteor movies, was he? I'll have to make a rap about, I don't know, Morgan Freeman or something, being the president. It'll be called, Obama made it so that no one gives a shit about black presidents in movies anymore. See, you've got to fill me in on what's going on, so I have something to rap about besides all your dumb shit movies.
Thank you! Oh, that is so good.
I'm gonna die
now.
That
was so good, Quill. Thank you. God, can I...
That's like such a fucking tongue
Can I tell
twister.
you a secret? My brain just, like, auto-formatted all of that shit, so I never read, like, the weird shit in it. The actual pun. I never read, like, Affleck's sacrifice.
Which is, like...
Which is...
Is that how rapping works?
That's explicitly not how it works. You did a very good job, though.
Okay,
all right,
cool.
And here, I'm leaving in space.
That doesn't reassure me.
I'm leaving in space. Everyone, please clap.
Please don't.
Anyhow, where were we? He can't drink him, and we see some of the fucking puppets. There's a specific puppet on page 345, which is in the basically the page in the bathroom. I thought that the puppet in that shot was Little Cal for the longest time, because I understood who Little Cal was, but I hadn't actually gotten there. And so, like, I was every time you talked about Little Cal, I was thinking about that puppet, which is somehow creepier.
Yeah.
So it's got, like, a people face on it.
Yeah.
And then we get the quickest shot of a Chekhov's gun I've ever seen, where he cleans off the beta and turns off a fan and is like, that beta's never... He, like, hangs it to dry and is like, that beta's never going to fly out the window. I already turned off the fan. This is never going to come back to bite me in the ass. And then a crow comes in and tries to take it. And he kills it with a sword.
I do love, like, the little reaction panel after he kills it, and he's like, no one can ever know about this. Like, that's just, like, the best.
So good. And then we get another, like, it's a panel that's a cut, but it's a GIF, so you don't actually know about the cut. If you're like me, it's very confusing because you read all of the text before the GIF happens that shows that it's a cut back to Rose. And then the cut happens and you're like, oh, okay, I get it. We're cut back to Rose, who is looking at a wizard. The wizard's name is Zazerpan the Learned. And god damn, does rocks.
I'll be honest, like, I saw, like, after reading this, like, the second time through, I'm like, shit, that's, like, exactly my, like, stance towards, like, statues of Confucius, so...
You hate Confucius the way Rose hates wizards. Confirm.
Yep.
We see Zazapan the Learned, and god damn does Roxy love wizards. It's so good. Rose and Roxy out there fucking wilding with all this irony bullshit.
Yeah, all that passive-aggressive stuff. I do love the Eldritch Princess, though. I kind of want it.
Oh, me too. Wheel of Fine. I bet they already did it. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, like a smaller version.
I could probably, like, I could probably crochet that, huh?
Because what you could do is just make, like, the little doll and then, like, either sew the dress around it or...
Yeah.
Just,
alternatively,
like,
just kill a princess doll, basically.
Yeah, but that would be a lot more work, I'd imagine, because you'd have to make the crochet part fit the doll. I don't know. I don't know enough about crochet.
Yeah, I don't know enough about sewing.
Yeah, I don't know enough about dolls. I saw a video of someone turning a Monster High doll into a Marge Simpson doll the other day, where they had to melt it down and shit, and I was like, what the fuck? Wild.
I've definitely painted on dolls with oil paint, so that shit doesn't come off, and just highlighters and some of my dolls have not survived. Let's just say.
Nah, I wish I had some dolls that I could have fucked up. I guess I have my amoebas, which my mom consistently refers to as my dolls.
Honestly, I have extra dolls that I'm trying to get rid of. So.
I mean, I have a little sister. If you ever want to give them off to me.
All right. Yeah, I got a lot of random toys. I'll hit you up sometime.
Yeah. Pass them on. Yeah. Also, another thing I noticed starting around here is that the way Homestuck uses capitalization, in the middle of a...
Oh, yeah.
in the middle of a paragraph, is very reminiscent of comic books.
Yeah,
That's a very common, things are either bolded or capitalized in a comic book.
And,
Just, so that if you're skimming it, you can see, what the important word is.
Yeah, the thing is, all the comic books I read were, seemingly random words would just be italicized. And the thing is, you know how, after you read something in a certain style, your thoughts kind of, start ending up in that style, too? And so, then I would just be thinking, random thoughts would just, random words of my thoughts would just be, emphasized. And I just, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally get that. And so I have a couple things here where I'm like, oh, wow. Because at first I was like, Mom Lalonde is being sincere. That's the stance I'm taking. Wow, all this Rose shit is really interesting that she's putting this on someone who obviously is not like this. And then we get to the fridge.
Oh, yeah. I love the fridge.
The fridge shoots that out of the water.
Yeah.
I will go in order. There are magnets on the fridge. First of all, above the magnets, on the freezer part of the fridge, is a framed picture of a shitty drawing that Rose drew when she was little. Which actually, now that I'm thinking about it, sort of reflects something really nicely that happened earlier on. We saw a picture of that John's dad hung on his fridge that was equally shitty, but John had drawn it much more recently, but his dad was still very proud of it and hung it on the fridge. But in this case, Mom Lalonde got a gilded frame to frame the...
yeah, and the passive-aggressive part of it is definitely that the frame is gilded and ostentatious to such an extent that it is objectively yeah, that's not sincere anymore.
The frame is drawing attention to the shittiness of the picture. By merit of how ostentatious it is. Yeah. And so here's a breakdown of the fridge situation. There are letters on the fridge.
Oh, wait, hold on. I'm reading the text, and this ostentatious frame is $15,000.
Yeah!
And it's welded to the door, okay? I missed that the first time.
Oh, it's welded to the door! That is some next level shit.
Yeah.
I will never take this picture down. I would get a new fridge before I take this picture down. Alright.
Alright, go on.
There are letters on the fridge. There's alphabet letters. And sometimes Rose will leave messages, and sometimes Mom Lalonde will read messages. The most recent of these is that Rose wrote shrew on the fridge out of these letters, obviously referring to the mother Lalonde. She, however, was missing a W, so she just got two V's and put them together, as you do. In response, Mom Lalonde bought a pack of W's. And in response to that, Rose wrote a thank you letter and had it notarized and signed in blood.
Yup.
And then in response to that, Mom Lalonde noticed that it was very slightly touching the floor and got a velvet pillow to keep the thank you note from touching the floor. This is the levels of depravity of just like, this is just a lot to take in.
Yup.
And that was the moment where I realized, oh, wait, no, this might not be sincere at all. None of this might be sincere at all. I think I know that Roxy likes wizards. That might just be a Roxy thing. Mm-hmm. But I think Roxy might also be into being very petty, which is fun. Rose has a really good turn of phrase here where she's like trying to figure out what her next play is. Mm-hmm. She takes out one of the W's and wears it as a funny mustache just because she's a child and it's fun. Mm-hmm. And then puts change in the empty space where she took out the W in equivalence to what that W was probably worth. And then she's like trying to figure out what the next step to do is, and she's like, no, I can't do anything with a packet of W's because that would just be gilding the lily. And I really like gilding the lily as a turn of phrase. I really like that. Mm-hmm. And then a sudden Mom Lalonde appears, and Rose does a youth roll to get out of the way and escape Mom, and sort of just like falls into some things. Yep. And we cut back to Jade and Dave having a conversation where Jade just drops some like weird like premonition bullshit. Yep. And so this is where part of a thing that I was alluding to in an earlier episode comes in, where like a lot of the time, especially early on in Homestuck, is that like Jade is just used as a plot device. Yeah, she is not given the time to develop either in the same way that the other three alpha kids or beta kids are. Yeah, because of the weird like pedestal of importance she's placed on. But also, like, she does have some good characterization. So it's a complicated issue. She gets scared at the notion of speaking to her grandpa, and Dave remarks that, you know, it's scary to talk to family. That's just how family is. Which is reflecting how both of them have very fucked up families. Yep. Everyone in this comic, except maybe John, has just really bad home situations. Yeah. Dave loves his sword because he is manly, and manly men love swords and fucking shit up. We cut back to John, and my note here is, John, look out, there's a monster. And then we cut back to Rose for our final panel, which is another S panel. It's another fight with Rose and Mom Lalonde. Yeah. Not another fight with Rose and Mom Lalonde. It's another fight, comma. This one is with Rose and Mom Lalonde. Yeah. If Rose chooses to aggrieve, she actually gets a couple hits in. Yeah. On Mom, which is a very interesting.
Interesting that like. She is just, like, straight up stabbing her mother with knitting needles.
Oh, yeah. Rose is just, like, stabbing her mother and gets her a bunch of times. Yeah. Like, Mom Lalonde dodges a couple of them, but, like, Rose gets her. We get her aggress option, which has the sub option that you have to click on, which is passive, so it's passive aggressive. Where, cool suicide joke, Rose threatens with an empty suicide threat to Mom Lalonde. Love that. Love to see it. Love early Homestuck. I forget what the other cool thing about the Homestuck, I wonder if this is like actually the way it would work for the people in the game, or in like the game of Spurb, like mechanically, is that like in a fight you have to like give up ground. You have to let yourself be attacked.
Oh yeah, with like abjure and what's the other one? Abstain?
Like, abjure and abstain.
Yeah.
Are the options that we have here. Where it's just like, oh, like to do a thing, you also have to take a thing. Yeah. Which is just a note for me, which is just like interesting thing that I kinda wanna carry into the
work into your
work into my baby. Of just like to do something you also have to take a hit.
I can't believe
That's
I'm
an
making
interesting
a
thought.
Homestuck podcast with and a Homestuck RPG
We're
with
in
you.
a
What?
Homestuck renaissance, dude.
Oh
Homestuck
my-
2 came out
That's
today.
never say those two words together ever again.
Homestuck 2?
No, Homestuck Renaissance.
What? That's honestly, we're in a Homestuck renaissance.
Oh God, why?
Like we're in it. That's the place that we're in. We sort of like hit it right before the Renaissance started. Not right before the Renaissance started. The Renaissance already started, but I think it's going to pick up a lot more steam now that we have the canonical sort of Homestuck 2.
Oh God, who's writing Homestuck 2? By the way, do you know?
People who wrote the epilogues, Kate from Perfectly Generic Podcast, who also worked on some other stuff, and Lalo, I believe is their name, who I think there's more people also, but like these are people who I know are writing on it.
Okay.
Lalo, who also wrote like the really good scenes of transness in the epilogues.
Huh. Yeah, I was wondering who did that. I'm like, this is
Lalo.
too on point.
Getting back to current events, and then we'll have to talk about Homestuck 2 and stuff.
Yeah.
Abjur has Mom Lalonde giving Rose a gift of the horse, the pony, which we know in the future is called Maplehoof and is a friend.
Indeed.
And then the other option is abstain, and to hit abstain, Mom Lalonde offers Rose a drink
Yep.
from her martini. By the way, she's always carrying a martini in every panel we see her in. And she offers Rose a drink, and Rose is like, absolutely not. No.
And then I think
fun.
pulls out a Perrier.
Yeah, Auto Perrier instead of Auto Perry or Auto Pastry.
Which is like,
Auto-
my mom loves Perrier, so it's like,
Same.
I hate it.
My mom loves Perrier, but does not like the brand Perrier.
Huh.
Or at least it's too expensive or something. So we get just generic sparkling water. I also hate sparkling water. I think it tastes bad.
Yeah, same.
It's just very bitter without anything else.
Yeah.
There isn't any sweet to cut the bitter. It's just kind of bitter.
It's just,
and it's
and like, the
I'll drink
sparkling
water.
is kind of like spicy.
Yeah.
Like,
It's like,
that same like kind of burningness that's like, no, I just want to be hydrated right now. I don't want this mouth
yeah,
pain.
that's what water is for. Yeah. Anyhow, that's it. We've covered everything we're going to cover. Let's talk about Homestuck 2.
Oh God.
Remember how at the beginning of the pod we were like, we should hold Homestuck 2 until the end? This is about to be a 2-hour pod, Quill.
Oh boy.
I'm going to cut a lot of it down, but my recording is officially at 1 hour and 40 minutes.
Oh, fun. Oh yeah, same.
But we have to talk about Homestuck 2.
Okay, so like Alright, I just heard about Homestuck 2 today, like in the morning. I saw a post that was like Homestuck 2, and then I'm like,
So
I
I'm a
have
little
an
bit more involved.
essay due today at 5, and like I have like astronomy homework that I haven't touched that's due at 4:30. I have like all of this shit. I'm not even going to think about this.
Well, now it's time to think about it at almost midnight. It's time for Homestuck 2. I haven't started reading Homestuck 2 because I need to finish the epilogues. I'm working my way through Meat right now.
Yeah, I read
I have like 5 hours left.
Oh my god. Yeah, I read I read what was there of Homestuck 2. I'm not sure if it's like there's more of it.
They updated it today.
Jesus.
So, I don't know if that was before or after you were reading it. My understanding is that there was
check.
an update today.
Oh goddamn, I didn't save my game. What a rookie mistake.
What a fool.
Indeed.
God, I'm finally gonna get to use that mechanic.
Oh dude, I'm always using that. Oh fuck, it did update shit.
There was, on the original Homestuck website, before it got redid by Viz, there was actually, like, the only thing I used, which was, like, on the side was the date and the update that was on that date. That was the only thing I used to, like, keep my place, because otherwise I would just have it open in a tab, because I wasn't done.
Yeah, no, I use the save and load game thing, man.
Yeah, welcome to my 70-tab hell. Don't worry, you're doing the right thing.
Oh my god.
Anyway, so, timeline of events. A couple months back, Kate Gamblignant8, who is now a member of the Homestuck 2 team, who runs Snake Studio something. I can't drop it in post. Every time I say that, I just forget to do it. It's Snake Solutions, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Snake Studio Solutions.
Uh-huh.
Give me a fucking second. Give me a second. I'll just go to the Homestuck 2 website. It says it on the bottom.
All right. Oh, yeah. I'm looking at it now. It's Snake Solutions.
Yep. That is Kate Gamblickin8, who runs the podcast Perfectly Generic Podcast, which I strongly recommend.
Also, such a good title.
It's a very good title. That was how I knew that we had to get a good title. I like Sburban Explorers. We had some other very good ideas. I like Sburban Explorers. Scrub Lords was also being thrown around, but I feel like Sburban Explorers fits more. Anyhow. Kate Gamblickin8 on her Discord server for Perfectly Generic Podcast, which I am a member of, she put out there was a new channel that everyone was theorizing about, and she also posted about this on her Twitter, which is that sometime in mid to late October, there was going to be a 14-character message that was going to be delivered, and that once it was delivered, everyone should share it around as widely as possible. So there's a lot of speculation as to what this 14-character message was to be. A couple days ago, I can't remember if it was yesterday or the day before, and I'm saying this on 10/25.
Oh, God.
For posterity.
This is like the beginning of the end of the beginning.
Dude, this is going to be Quill, we figured out what the end of the podcast is going to be, which is that we're going to be able to talk about new Homestuck shit that happened every week. God. A thing that happened was that the Toblerone drops that have been happening, which is where June Egbert got canonized. We have to talk. We can't laugh at all the stupid things that happen. We just have to take it in stride. All the Toblerone drops that have been happening. One of the ones that was either a day or two ago was of not Toblerone. It was of beef jerky. It was meat, which, if you are in the know about Homestuck, has very obvious and significant connotations. That instead of dropping candy, Quill, stop laughing at me. It's true. You know it. It's a thing that happened in the world.
Oh my God. This is the world I live in.
It was meat and not candy. Today, we got the drop of Homestuck 2, which bills itself as, like, the website for it, on the very top, bills itself as
Beyond Canon.
Homestuck 2, Beyond Canon, an official continuation of Homestuck. There's a Patreon for it. I didn't even know.
There's a Patreon. Of course there is.
Yeah.
Well, that makes sense, yeah. I assume it costs money to do things.
Oh, yeah. Hosting things is expensive. Art is expensive. Anyhow, this all happened today and is wild. The idea of... So a thing that we talk about a lot in that Discord and is just sort of, like, true about Homestuck is this idea of, like, fans making canon, and that is canon, and, like, fans taking over the canonicity of Homestuck. You're losing your shit, but it's true.
Yeah, but, like, what the fuck?
Yeah. This idea that Homestuck's canon, and that all canon of all things, is not relegated to the original author. That death of the author is so powerful that there are new authors, which are the fans, which is the world we live in. Like,
oh God,
Homestuck ended.
Oh shit, it's 10:25.
Yeah, it's Cascade
That's
Day.
another. Oh my God.
Yeah, dude.
I only know it's 10:25 because I had so much homework due today.
Yep.
I'm dying.
For those of you not in the know, 10/25 is a very special day. It was the day that Cascade, one of the biggest, not one of the biggest, but like culturally, impact-wise, the biggest Flash animation in Homestuck, And it's also Collide Day, I think.
Yeah,
I know it's been a while.
1025. I think that's the one associated with the.
It was something else.
Yeah, it was
too.
someone.
Anyhow, all of this has happened today. And so, we're going to, week by week, keep you guys updated on the things that are happening in the world of Homestuck. At least to the best of our ability. Neither of us have a Twitter, so we're not, like, super in the know on everything.
Yeah, I'm generally not super into fandom, like, into, like, the fandom period of, like, any work that I'm interested in, so, like...
At this point, me either, but I'm part of this Discord, so
yeah.
I will be able to keep updating people.
I'm just, like... I'm, like, the occasionally tosses, like, shitty fan art into the void kind of person and does not interact beyond that.
Another thing was that there was a note of secession dropped either yesterday or today from all of the people who found the meat, which was all of, like, the people who are now working on Homestuck 2. There was a note of secession from them saying that we are taking the canon over.
Okay.
Homestuck 2 is a secessionist movement.
How is there a... Oh my god.
I know, right? Anyway, let's get into the question that we got for this week to cap us off. And then we're going to end this hell recording, which is almost 2 hours. The question that we got this week was... That did not do the thing I wanted it to do. I have to scroll through my infinite tabs. All right, there we go. Schedule. This is from Hal in the YouTube comments. Shout-outs to Hal, friend of the show. The question is, how do you think the egg ties into Dave's theme? Parentheses S. Yes, birds, but do you think that there's anything to it being specifically an egg? So, just like off the bat, like the literary analysis. Go ahead.
I always thought of it as, like, my knee-jerk, like, literary analysis, I guess. That's not a statement I ever thought I'd say, but, like,
Despite
would be like...
all evidence to the contrary, you and I are very smart people. We're probably the smartest people I know. That's not true. I'm the smartest people I know.
But yeah, like, my gut instinct literary criticism is, like, the whole, like, what came first, the chicken or the egg kind of thing, and, like, that's the sort of, like, timeline bullshittery, you know?
Oh, that's actually a really good reading of it. I know, like, just, like, the baseline understanding that I have of it is that, like, it's about patience, that Dave has to hatch the egg. Especially in his entry. To be able to be granted the power to travel through time, he has to understand patience above all else. And so he has to learn how to be patient enough to hatch this egg. And not try to rush it, or he'll die.
Yeah.
But I also think that it does have to do with, like, transformation, that Dave is going from this, like, oppressive relationship with Bro, and from being this just, like, kind of shitty irony teen into being, like, a more well-rounded person. Also, in the modern times, transcends, trans Dave. Dave Egg, trans Dave. Think about it. Are you aware of this?
No.
No, this is the thing. It's a meme. I think.
I mean, I'm down.
I heard it from a sort of shitty source, but it's been a while. I think it's been reclaimed that egg equals trans. That once you understand that you're trans, you have hatched. Trans Dave headcanon, y'all.
Huh. Heck yeah.
There's something I want to say on pod, but I think it would be better relegated for later. I should say it just to say it. I think I've told you this before. I might even have said it on pod before. Which is just that there's, like, a notion that I hold that I had a conversation with Cam that was really interesting about it, too, where it was just, like, as interesting as transness of a character is, in a work as long as Homestuck, a thing that, like, me and Cam sort of came to was that, like, as interesting as June Egbert and Transmask Roxy are, and as well as Transmask Roxy is handled, June Egbert has yet to, like, ascend into canonhood in the way that Transmask Roxy has.
Send into canonhood.
I know. Like, it's been... You understand what I mean, right? In that, like, June Egbert has been stated but has not been shown in any meaningful way.
Yeah.
I imagine Homestuck 2 will have a lot more June in it. But that that those sort of erase readings of a character as trans the other way, like Cam had always had canon trans mask John, and I had always had canon trans femme Roxy, which is like are still valid readings. The difference is that, like, by having a canon conversation in which a character is trans implies that they were originally a specific gender. Does that make sense? Like, that's just how.
Yeah.
That's just how it is. And like even within the confines of Homestuck's dubious canon, with the way ectobiology works, like canonically, you cannot have coexisting trans femme and trans mask Roxy. That's just how it works. Like, but I think that they're both interesting, and I hope to see them be fleshed out more.
Yeah. I mean, for me, like, I prefer to just headcanon that, like, every character that has ever existed is just non-binary and uses whatever fucking pronouns they want, you know?
I mean, there's a good case to be made that troll gender is just kind of bullshit the whole way down.
That's true.
Because, I mean, like, trolls don't have, like, gender-based reproduction.
Yeah. Huh.
And so, like, the idea of troll gender is one of those where it's like, oh, trolls are probably born into a non-binary state and then choose their gender, like, as they get older, like, and then, I guess, grow tits, because that's how Homestuck works. One of those things that, like, I don't think was very well thought out initially was just, like, Andrew being like, this is how to draw a female character. Duh. That has become very interesting in retrospect. But, you know, that's a reading of troll biology that I've heard.
Yeah, like I said, I'm not that really in fandom.
This pod is getting to be 2 hours. We gotta.
Yeah.
All right, we answered the egg question. Thank you very much. Thank you very
we need
much.
to go now.
Al.
We need to stop.
It's almost midnight. We have to stop doing this.
Yeah.
Remember earlier when I was like, we're gonna read 2 sections and record 2 episodes? So much has changed since then. So much has changed.
Yep.
Anyway, that's our show. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you want to leave us questions. Oh, another thing, I'll run this by you, Quill.
Yeah.
And if you don't like it, I can cut it out. Or if you do like it, I'll leave it in. You know how things are. Having a section for us of just, like, errata at the end of a show of just, like, hey, we got things wrong. Here is, like, you can leave a comment of just corrections.
Oh, yeah, that's probably good. Like, Homestuck is... First of all, it's Homestuck. Second of all, it's Homestuck. We're going to get shit wrong.
It's been a while since either of us have read Homestuck.
And by a while, we mean literal years.
Literally years. Like, we have a good understanding of Homestuck as a whole, as a body of work, but it's been a long time, so we might forget specifics. So, if you want to leave in the comments just, like, errata of things that we should be corrected on, please do so.
God, Homestuck 2, it's like...
Yeah, go read Homestuck 2, y'all. If you go read the epilogues, go read Homestuck 2. The epilogues are wild, but I recommend them.
Yeah, I'm like... I remember seeing some meme that was like, Homestuck doesn't die, it's just gonna god tier, and like, I didn't realize they were serious!
Yeah, no, that's true, bro. Yeah, we live in, like, the weirdest timeline.
We really do.
We really do. Anyway, that's been our show. Good night, everybody.
Please let us be free. Don't make me do a fucking Sweet Bro and Hello Jeff, I'm gonna die.
Please make Quill do Sweet Bro and Hell Jeff. Thank you. Bye.